What happens if you have a heart attack in a country where nobody speaks English? And did you know that some countries overseas can detain you in the hospital until you pay the bill? I'm going to walk you through how to make sure this doesn't happen to you. And I'm also going to share the best hospitals where certain conditions can be treated around the world. I'm Daniel, and I was a hospital CEO for 20 years, and I've been slow traveling for 5 years now. So let's get into it. What would happen if you had a medical emergency overseas and you couldn't pay your bill? Well, it's not like the United States, that's for sure. In the US, you walk away, they bill you, they bill your insurance, and now if you don't pay your bill, bad medical debt doesn't even go on your credit report. But overseas, it's a whole different story. So overseas, several things can happen. So the exact consequences depends on the country and the severity of your bill, I suppose. But what could happen? Many countries have hospital detention. In some developing nations, hospitals may legally or illegally detain patients or withhold their passports until the payment is made. Travel restrictions, so local immigration authorities can flag your passport, preventing you from leaving the country until your debt is paid. Visa and re-entry bans can happen. Countries may flag your record with unpaid medical fees, leading to bans on future visas or re-entry into their country. Or they can send you to collections with legal actions. So hospitals can send your unpaid bills to the international tax collector, and then they can come after you legally to get that bill paid. But here's what you can do to prevent this. All it takes is a little planning. So here's what most people don't think about. They go overseas and they're thinking about the beach and they're thinking about traveling and eating cheap and trying to live a low-cost life and probably living on a pension or a Social Security. So in order to be safe, you need to have at least one of these in place. You need to have cash on hand so you can pay the hospital. And for a major medical emergency, I would say $25,000 at least in a bank account. Because even though care is way cheaper outside of the country, if you have something that seriously happens to you, it's going to be very expensive. And that $25,000 does not include if you need to be flown back to the United States. When I was working in the hospitals, a helicopter from a scene of an accident to a hospital, maybe 5, 10, 20 miles away, could cost $25 or $50 or $75,000. So imagine what a medical flight from Thailand or from South America back to the United States would cost. I would guess it would be very, very expensive. Possibly $100,000 to have a medical crew with you and a medical flight. I can't even imagine what it would be. And if you don't have the cash, the other option is a credit card with a really high limit. And I would say a limit of at least $25,000. Or third, you can have medical travel insurance, where you have a policy that will cover catastrophic illnesses overseas and include care and a flight back to the United States if that is needed. And the fourth option is you could actually have a health insurance policy that would cover all your care overseas. But you got to make sure if you need to get back to the US or back to your home country, then you need a policy that includes that as well, unless you're planning on just being cared for overseas. So if you're enjoying this material, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, it always helps. In the description below, I list different products and how they can help you. I'm not sponsored. This is just some of the stuff I use that I have found. So what does a good travel medical policy need? First, it needs to have emergency treatment overseas. And I would say this too. You should get a policy that pays the hospital directly. Because if you have to go through reimbursement, you have the same issue. So if you have a $30,000 bill and the insurance company won't pay for it until you pay for it, then you're really kind of in the same boat anyway. So make sure that they pay the hospital directly. You want medical evacuation in the policy so they can get you to an adequate facility. So for example, you're at a small hospital, a small town, and you have a complicated issue. You want them to be able to move you to the big city hospital. So you also want repatriation, which means that will take you back to the US or back to your home country. in case you need extended care. You don't want to be stuck in a country unless you live there and you don't want to leave. And you want to make sure that it doesn't have a low dollar cap. So you don't want to have like a $50,000 emergency policy, but you want to have a policy that covers everything. So I think of this in stages. For routine care overseas, I just pay out of pocket because it's relatively cheap. I have my travel policy in case I have a medical emergency, and then that will take care of that. And then that will also get me to an adequate facility if I'm in a smaller town. Then if I need to go back to the United States for extended care, I have VA healthcare back there, and I'm not old enough, but I assure you when I turn 65, I will enroll in Medicare for sure, whether I'm overseas or not. So I have this whole plan in place so that I don't get destroyed financially if something happens. And we're all getting older, and I'm close to 60, and I know viewers are older than me too. So we have to plan this out properly to make sure that we're protected as we go into our golden years, as we say. And I want to make a quick point about the type of hospitals. Most public hospitals overseas are not good. And I've spoken to a lot of locals who are enrolled in the public health system, and they do not like it. And in fact, they'll pay out of their pocket to go to the private hospitals. Here's a checklist that you should make before you go on a trip. So you want to identify if there's a Joint Commission accredited hospital. You want to have your emergency cash reserve if needed. You want a translation app. You want to know how to use it. You want to identify English-speaking international patient department if they have one. You want to have your travel medical policy written down so that you can show the hospital. And then you want to have a local clinic where you can get your care. So pretty obvious stuff, but if you write this stuff down beforehand, then you'll be in a better position. So what I'm going to show you now is best hospitals by condition around the world. So as you can see from this, cardiac bypass in India, Apollo Hospitals, $7,900. Imagine what that would cost you in the US. A hip replacement in Malaysia, $8,000 to $11,000. Bariatric surgery in Tijuana, about $5,000 to $8,000. Cancer treatment, and of course this varies dramatically because it depends on what type of cancer you have. But Singapore has a wonderful hospital, $8,000 to $17,000. Knee replacement in Thailand, $8,000 to $12,000. If you needed dental implants, Thailand, $1,000 to $2,000. Cataracts in Thailand, about $2,000. LASIKs for both eyes, $2,000 to $3,000. Hair transplant, and I've seen pictures of this all over the place. Turkey is like known for hair transplants, $2,500 to $4,500. And then cochlear implants in Turkey as well, $12,000 to $18,000. And these are just examples and general cost estimates. But this whole concept is not just for an emergency. This is called medical tourism. And when I was in the hospital systems, big hospital systems are building hospitals all over the world where you can actually fly there, have a vacation, get your procedure done. And with some insurances, it could possibly cost you less than what you would pay with insurance. But without insurance, 100%. It would be cheaper than in the United States. And the quality is world class in these hospitals. So I just wanted to share that with you in case you have a medical emergency, in case you happen to be in these countries, or in case that you wanted to get these procedures done. But what I would recommend is whatever country you're in, do some research and find out what hospitals are top quality there and put it in your plan. So I hope this helped. And what I would totally recommend is that you have a plan. That's what's most important. And I think at this stage of our lives, it's just too risky to go without insurance or to hope for the best, because one bad incident could really just ruin your future. So thanks for watching. And if you want to check out some more videos, check these out. Have a great day.